Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is the third part of my tutorial on how to set up a Docker Compose file to run multiple services. In this video, I will demonstrate how to run a simple PHP application on Apache server, both running on their own Docker container. So let's begin. Let's take a look at the changes that we have to do in our Docker Compose file. If you will notice, I have removed the adminer as well as the PHP MyAdmin services and added the PHP and web services. And if you will notice, there is no image parameter supplied. Instead, I'm using the build parameter to build these images from a Docker file. If you are curious about what this PHP and web services are, you can check the Docker file that we have under the Apache and PHP folders. Let's first take a look at the Apache Docker file. Here we can see that I'm using an HTTPD version 2.4.43 Alpine version, which is this image from Docker Hub. And be sure to use this version, otherwise it won't work. And then I ran the update and upgrade, and I have this local file that I copied to the container. And the content of this file is simply the Apache configuration of my virtual host. So here I'm loading the modules that I need to run my script. And the important part in this configuration is the proxy pass match. Here I'm telling that for this virtual host, I'm processing all the requests that has PHP extension and forward it to port 9000 of the PHP server. This PHP server is actually this service. So that means I'm forwarding all the PHP page to PHP server so that it can process the PHP scripts and render accordingly. And these are just some standard Apache configuration. Here I'm telling that my document root is located in bar www or HTML folder. So we will take a look at it later when we run the container. And finally, we are copying this file into the httpd.conf of the Apache so that it will be loaded and processed. And then let's take a look at the index file. So this index file, if we look at the Docker Compose file, we will see that I'm loading or I'm mounting the volume Apache public HTML to bar www.html, meaning this Apache public HTML, which contains the index.php file, will be loaded and will be served by the Apache server. So this index.php file simply connects to our MariaDB database instance and write or echoes a connected to MySQL successfully log if there is no error encountered. Now let's take a look at the PHP Docker file. We're simply loading the PHP image from Docker Hub, which is from this image. The URL of the Docker images will be available in the description box of this video. And don't forget to use the FPM version, otherwise it will not work. And we are running the Docker PHP extension with MySQL extension. Alright, now that we have configured our Docker Compose file, let's try running this configuration. Again, we will go back to my VirtualBox because I'm running a Windows machine. First, let's terminate the containers, and then let's check if our Docker Compose file matches the one that we have configured earlier. It does. So we have the PHP as well as the web services. Notice that I'm also loading the volumes of the Apache public HTML folder in PHP because we need this so that the files will be processed by the PHP server. Now let's try running our Docker Compose file. And we can do that by again executing Docker Compose app. The images are already loaded in my local image registry. That's why it runs faster than when the images are being fetched from the Docker Hub. So if it's your first time, it might take a while, especially if you have a slow internet. Now, let's take a look at the Docker Compose file. Here we can see that the web service is open or accessible using the port 8000. And let's try accessing that. Alright, I think our page is properly loaded because we have this message connected to MySQL successfully. Otherwise, we will have this connection failed. Now let's take a look at our images. Let's check the PHP image first. Since this volume is mounted, we should be able to see this folder var www.html, and we should be able to see the index.php file. Let's try that. First, let's check the container ID of the running container. So this is the PHP container, and we can access this container by running the docker exec command. If you're not familiar with the exec command, make sure to check my previous tutorial regarding the basic commands used in Docker and Docker Compose. And let's execute the sh command. And now we're inside the PHP container, the running PHP container. And we are inside the var www HTML folder. And here we can see the index.php file. And next, let's check the web service. Again, we should be able to see this folder, and what's more is that we should be able to see the local.apache in this folder, as well as the httpd.conf updated with this include line. Let's check that. Again, we need to know the container ID of the web service, which is this one, and execute docker exec.it because we want it to be formatted, and I'm passing an input from the command line, so I need the I parameter. Let's copy this container ID and paste it here and execute the sh command. Okay, first let's visit the var www./html, and again we should be able to see the index.php file, which is the file from this directory. And let's go to the user local Apache 2 folder. Inside the conf folder, we should be able to see the local.apache file, which we have copied from the host, which is this file. See, they match exactly. And finally, we should be able to see the modified httpd.conep. And here is the include file, our local.apache.conep, which loads our virtual host, is included in the httpd conep so that Apache should be able to process that virtual directory, and the scripts, the PHP scripts, should be processed correctly by the PHP service. And that's why we have this page loaded correctly. And I hope I'm able to share my experience regarding Docker Compose with this video. Help me keep this channel going so that it can reach more viewers by liking and sharing my videos and subscribing to this channel as well. So let's take a quick pause for now. We'll come back in the next section and we're gonna start running WordPress and MariaDB in Docker containers. So a quick break and see you in a minute.